am Marla Diann of Marla Diann Mentoring, and I'm a success coach and a business strategist for creatives. And tonight we have been at my creative roundtable here at Cross Campus in El Segundo, and I had 3 of my VIP clients share behind the scenes of what went on with their business during the coaching program that they had with me, and how they leveraged and how they hired a lead VA and how they got rid of all of their minutia to be able to be in their high payoff activities, and what went on with their personal life and their business life and how it's changed. So if you have any questions about what went on, you'll be able to see it soon in the video, and you can reach out at marladiann.com. That's MarlaDiann.com, and I'd love to have a chat with you.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So here's what I want to hear from. Let's hear your stories. Is what was business and life like prior to coaching? What was your business model like, right? Prior to what you'll explain, then the after. So kind of a before and after. And what were some of the lessons that you learned along the way? Woo! Yeah, right? About hiring the right type of person. And what happened to you kind of mentally, emotionally, what you had to go through to kind of break through to move to that next level. So, Who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. Thank you, Veronica.
What business model? I mean, my business model was dun, 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 spin the plate. Oh, don't let it drop, I literally was doing everything. And, and raising 3 dogs. And then mama moved in, and that's a whole other story, but we won't go there. So, no, honestly, it was literally spinning plates. I have a list of everything that my VA does now, but the anxiety that went with it all too, and I sustained that for 7 years. I mean, and I made good money too, but I was a stress case, and poor Mike, he lived with it all.
So was your fiance?
Yes, now we're getting married. After meeting Marla, I can get married now. Honestly, it's I'm sorry, I covered the mic, smacked the microphone. It's the truth. We really were, the 2 of us were just going pedal to the metal. We deal with a lot of personalities too. We work with a lot of different musicians, and we love that part of our life. But it's a lot. It's a lot when you're doing everything else, and you know what everything else is. The social media, the newsletters, blogs, keeping up with the website, the marketing. I mean, it's just marketing. And then on top of it all, we're creating customized song lists for all of our clients, and rehearsing all of the bands. And I still perform because that's my genius. I love performing. I am a singer. I also, another part of my genius, I tend to think, is music education, and I love teaching vocals. And so while running this whole thing, I was also, learning music and teaching music. And by 2017, I looked in the mirror and I literally think I had some sort of minor, tiny breakdown of like, what is this all for? I'm on my own. And I saw a post by David Krieger online. Do you guys know David? Mm-hmm. He's a great DJ and friend of mine. And he posted about you. And I called him right away and I said, "You look so happy. What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, everything's cool, man. Everything." And he's just, the thing is like the level of excitement with David is like, everything's cool. And that's like really exciting. That's very exciting for David. He's like, everything's cool. I sold my highest packages, like everything's cool. And I'm like, that's so cool. I'm like, I need to meet Marla. And a couple of months later, I was at an MPI event showcasing somebody, and Marla was sitting at my table, and you were beautifully persistent. You called me a few times, and I finally made the time made the time to meet with you for that first meeting. And I got off the phone with you, and I called my friend Lou Serrano, amazing magician, who gets coaching every year with different coaches. And I said, Lou, I met Marla. What do I do? He goes, just put down the credit card and just do it. And I'm like, okay, all right. And we did. I just went for it. And it was an amazing 5 months. And in that 5 months, I finally had a sales system. I finally had a rinse and repeat, which I needed, on how to hire a virtual assistant. And because I did, I had one assistant who was like gonna start, and then crazy life happened for her in Florida, and off she went. And then, okay, I had to rinse and repeat and, do the whole VA system all over again, and interview, and knowing how to do that. I mean, I've had a brick and mortar type thing where, I had assistants working with me in my house, and I just, it didn't work out for me. So honestly, the whole virtual assistant thing was very esoteric and weird, and I was like, what's this gonna be like, this person? I finally now, long story short, after 3 people, 4th time is a charm. Mm-hmm. I have this wonderful, amazing virtual assistant. Her name is Charlene. She's my angel, and she lives in Washington, and I hope she stays with me longer than 4 years, because she now covers all my social newsletters. She does all my Zoom scheduling and consults with Calendly. She set up my Calendly because I have a million different, calendars. And she's, as we speak, putting together my PowerPoint presentation, because I will start speaking on production in the wedding industry, because I believe that wedding planners need some help in the live music area. But blog linking, so she's going into my hyperlinking everything, prospect follow-up. And she is actually doing all the admin stuff now. This is all, she is dealing with all of these prospects that are coming in. I don't have to do it anymore. She's efficient, she's self-sufficient. I do not have to micromanage her. She's got her master's in something really weird, but she's so brilliant. I'm like, I don't know, you're just so smart. Thank you. She has incredible ideas. She's streamlined our business, and she's dialed us in. Everything is just smooth like butter, well-oiled machine, which is what I hadn't had, for the first 7 years. And here we are in our 8th year already. And honestly, I don't know how I did it all in the beginning. Now I know that, one day if Charlene does leave, I have a rinse and repeat way to hire a VA again, and it is that easy because Marla made it easy. And you're lucky you're getting her little handbook, the very big handbook on how to hire a VA, because there is a specific way of doing it. There is a system, and I'm glad I have it, and I'm glad I have a sales system. Because that's a whole other world. Well, it's another topic. Sure, yeah. But that's the quick and the dirty.
Yeah. Well, and you went through 3 or 2 or 3.
3 first. I had
all in like a month and a half.
Yeah, Florida fell by the wayside. Yeah. Then we had another.
What is it with Florida?
I don't know what it is with Florida, because then I had another Floridian, and she was amazing, but then she decided to get back in insurance, and she's like, V, I love you. I love what I've learned. I can't stay with you. I took a full-time job. I'm like, all right, God bless you. That's awesome. I'm happy for her, and I still keep in touch with her. She's great. Christine's awesome. And then Sacramento, had her for 2 weeks. She was a genius in the social media, but not so much admin. And after 2 weeks, that fell by the wayside for reasons that would be too boring to get into. And then I right away put up an ad, and Charlene was the first one to respond. And I remember saying to you, I think this is the one, but I will interview 4. I went right back to Charlene, and I hired her. She's brilliant and chill and totally my brand. And look, I'm an energetic lady. I need someone who is completely opposite of that. I need that. Yeah. That's why Mike and I get along.
I know. So yeah.
Quick question: How many hours a week
And if you don't mind, what do you pay her? Just out of curiosity, for this whole virtual assistant.
Yes. Right now, 5 hours a week. I'm going to up that really soon
Okay.
because she's just valuable.
Okay.
And we're starting out at $25 an hour for the first 60 days. And then we are increasing probably to $30 an hour.
And all this, by the way, is in the workbook you're going to get. Those are kind of their common rates. And typically, yes, with VAs, the reason why it's a whole industry, those of you that aren't familiar with it, is the onset of social media and everything going online is what caused this virtual assistant industry, because it allows you to have a location-independent business. You don't need to you don't have to be necessarily bricks and mortar, or if you do, at least it gives you the opportunity to have a business and you can go anywhere and this person does not have to physically be there with you. But anyway, they typically work anywhere from 15 to, depends on your business model, which you'll hear from Lee. I know he has a little more hours, but 15 hours a month, 20 hours a month, depends on your business size, depends on your needs. I personally, six-figure business, I've never had my VA do any more than 20, 25 hours a month. Because I'm very, very specific in what, and that's what you get in this workbook, is that I'm very specific in what I have them do. And it's streamlined, right? There's a whole finesse to this. And it is hard initially to think, wrap your head around somebody that's not physically there, right? Is that they are trained to do all of these things, and some of them do some of them don't do others. That's why you have to be very, very specific on what you want them to do, right? I typically go for having a social media / brand manager. I don't have her do the admin. I have two people. I have my main operations manager, who's a VA, and she does all the admin, and then I have the social media manager, who's my brand manager. Yeah.
For your social media, do they create all of your content also?
That's a very good question. I'm a writer.
Okay.
I'm a publicist. I can do this in my sleep, so it's easy for me, so some people may not relate with this. But what I typically do, and I have my brand manager, she's been with me 6 years. She's a great writer. She gets me, she gets my voice. I will actually, every week she sends me what she wants to send out, and I go through it and I approve it, or I edit it, or I add something, but she'll write it. Same thing with, sometimes she'll do the blogs. A lot of times I'll do it because I can whip one out really quick, and as those of you that are on my email list, I send it out every week, so it's easy for me. But she would then also pinch hit for me, and she would write my blogs for me, or she'd repurpose blogs, because I've got a ton of blogs that she can go in and repurpose. So yeah, so it's a collaboration between both of us, but she spends the time writing it and I approve it.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
My VA actually, she's really a strong writer, and again, with all the stuff that I did with Marla, I had ideal client profiles that I handed off to her, and she was like, "Ooh!" So she used that as fodder to write. She does help me write my captions and all that for Instagram as well.
Yeah. In fact, everything that when I take my clients through this whole 5-month system, and these are private clients, is by the time they bring on a VA, they have everything they need to hand over to the VA. Right. From their system to their, like you said, the ideal client profile, some of their brand messaging, and there were some of those pieces that are important. So that literally, and I know we got feedback from a few of those VAs, I have you send an orientation packet to that VA. And it's a good 12 pages long or so, where you literally, your first meeting on Zoom with this person is you go through that orientation packet, and the feedback we got from that was, oh my God, I wish everybody would do this for us.
Yeah.
So what we do is we leave little room for guessing. with this VA, because we need to have them be a quick study and get going, right?
Yes,
Okay.
indeed.
Good. Awesome. Who would like to go next?
Okay, perfect. A lot of the same stuff that Veronica mentioned, so I won't repeat. But it's funny, we kind of took the same type of notes. I have notes of, Marla had asked us, kind of share a little bit about the condition of your business before coaching and hiring a VA, and then sort of what it looks like now. So when I was actually writing these up yesterday, I got like anxiety. I was like, oh my God, I totally remember that life that I had. It was like, I was very disjointed, lots of clients. My largest client was in major turmoil at the moment. I was very frazzled, constantly switching hats. I said me, from soup to nuts. Like there was no one else. It was just everything that had to get done in my business relied on me. So I had to be there. I had to be on text and email and just everything constantly for all my clients. At least that's what I thought I had to do. I'm a perfectionist, as a lot of event producers and sort of people in this world are. So there was a lot of fear of trusting someone else with my business. This is now my business, not someone else's. I'm not like an employee where, there's less care sometimes given to your work if you're working for someone versus your own. And then I started coaching with Marla, and she mentioned it briefly earlier, have a 10-year career in event production and wedding planning, and was adding this new arm to my business, which is the wine business, as a writer and as a consultant and educator. And I didn't know what that looked like. I wasn't as assertive in that business because I had only known myself as a student, and now here I was trying to be an authority, and I didn't really see myself in that role yet. So it's been, there's been a process to actually get there. So once I started working with Marla, we worked on the money relationship and all those things that she's chatted about, and the conversation of a virtual assistant came up, which I had never thought of. I was just like, I always have to do this forever. I don't know, that's what a business looks like. You're an entrepreneur, you do everything, all these, there's like some buzzwords around that, like you wear a bunch of hats and all those things. And also I had never thought of expanding my team in that way. I just thought it was always going to be me. And so one of the things that was really interesting that we haven't talked about yet, an exercise that Marla had me do that I think is super valuable, and I've shared it with so many people, is to put a sticky note on your computer that says, who else can do this? Let me tell you, your eyes really get wide open when you're sitting there at midnight writing your social media content, cross-eyed, or trying to do something you're not good at, which is also, as an entrepreneur, you realize real quick, there's a lot of stuff you're not good at. When you're branching out on your own, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm starting my own business. Everyone tells you, oh, you're going to do great. You're so good at X, you're so good at Y. And then all of a sudden you have to do something on WordPress, and you're like, Googling YouTube videos of I don't even know how to do this. So I definitely, the who else can do this came up constantly. And then we were having conversations about the Genius Zone and reading The Big Leap. So that was really an eye-opener for me. And I would encourage anyone, whether you're coaching or not, to do something like that and in your own business, and realize how many times you're doing things that someone else can do that you could easily, with trust, give up, that would allow you to live in that Genius Zone more often. So I also used Marla's 12-page virtual assistant, hiring packet, and went through that process and interviewed people and just jumped right in. I didn't think I made enough money to do it. I thought I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a solopreneur, it's just me. And so I really had a lot of issues mentally getting to that place. But once I hired my VA. There's some homework you have to do before, like has been mentioned. You have to really prepare them. You can't hire someone and say, okay, let's figure out what you're going to be doing. You really need to do that exercise first. Who else can do this? And you start creating a list of these low payoff activities. These activities that it's not your strong suit, not your core competency, whatever you want to call it. And then I started looking at okay, how can I turn these into, duplicatable tasks that someone can do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever that looks like. So my list of what my VA does is a lot of the similar things that Veronica mentioned. I first hired her as a social media manager, and to also answer your question, I think it was Natalie, I actually create all my own social media content still. I want to get to a point where I'm taking it off, or having that person do it. A lot of what I do is tasting notes and things like that with wine and whatnot, so I can't slough that off to someone else. I have to write that content. So I'm figuring out what that's going to look like going forward. But so I'm creating the content. She makes the pictures look pretty. She spell checks. She hashtags. She tags. She goes on Hootsuite and does all of the legwork, so I don't have to figure all that out. She does my MailChimp, so for my newsletters. Client admin, so a lot of I have, as an event producer, there's a lot of administrative work behind the scenes that I have to do with the client that I don't prefer to do, whether it's invoicing and scheduling and where's the loading dock and all those types of things for events. So she handles all of that admin work. She creates graphics for me on Canva. So as a graphic design stuff that comes up that you want to have presentable pieces for your business. So she handles all that. Once I move into WordPress, because I currently write a blog, I write a wine blog. We didn't mention that. I've been doing that for 3 years. It's on on Blogger, because as I mentioned, I'm not technically savvy, so I wanted the easiest, program to use starting out, and WordPress I had heard was not, the easiest thing to jump into. So I use Blogger because I started a blog just for fun. Now, obviously, my business is wine, so I need to have a different facing website. I need it to look more professional. So once I move to WordPress, she's going to handle things like uploading the blog post, the content that I create, updating the website. She's updating my media kit as we speak. I have tons of testimonials from past clients, and so she's turning those into social media squares, that I can share periodically on social media, little snippets of people saying, oh, Brianne was great to work with, or whatever. So it's a lot of stuff. Also research projects, as a new wine professional, there's opportunities that I want to take part in, and you guys probably might have the same thing, where whether it's speaking opportunities or opportunities for wine judging for me, or wine PR firms who might want to work with me. So she's done all the research and legwork for me, and so we've got Google Docs going where she's looking up these opportunities, giving me the contact information, whatever information I need, so that, if I allocate my time, like, okay, I've got 2 hours, I want to work on finding a judging opportunity. I'm not spending all this time Googling. I just have to go to the spreadsheet and say, these 3 competitions look good, I'm going to apply for these, and send that over. So just takes, a lot of the legwork off of what you do. It's also allowed me to really allocate my time better. So that's something that I worked on with Marla, which is, which is looking at each day and creating a function or maybe a task or a project for that day, instead of being so sort of ad hoc and disjointed. That's how I always felt. I was writing social media for 30 minutes, and I'm answering 12 emails, and I'm taking a conference call, then I don't even know. You've been there. So now I've actually created a system where, just in a nutshell, Monday's my creative day. So I write socials, I write my blog posts, anything to do with writing. Tuesday, I follow up on any leads. So I have a spreadsheet going, and so that's where I'm connecting with people who I want to work with, who have expressed interest in working with me. Wednesday, Thursday is client work. So that's when I'm just nuts and bolts, roll up the sleeves, emails, phone calls, conference calls, dealing with the people directly. Friday is free, but I use what I need Friday for. So I don't ever schedule Friday, and that's been really freeing for me, because some people would say maybe that's not freeing because it creates the schedule, but it also allows you to, whatever that day looks like, you can really be that person. Monday is just this creative, fun day for me. I always find a coffee shop to work out or something, just leave the dining room table, do something different, have a change of scenery. Then I, switch it up throughout the week, and that's been really, really freeing for me. So
That's awesome.
The list she gave you, she was doing all that.
yeah, I mean,
Right? And I know you've been there or are there, right? Yeah. It's a mindset. You've got to take the leap to do it.
yeah, and I'm on my first VA, and she's good now. I don't see her growing into what the next role looks like, but that's fine, because I'm in the middle right now. I'm switching over to WordPress. There's all these different things happening. So for now, she is saving me time, and that's great. And some of the detailed numbers, 2 to 5 hours a week, and I pay her $20 an hour.
Nice. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I
Were you
mean,
doing your
the
bookkeeping too?
range,
Oh yeah, bookkeeping too.
and she helps with your bookkeeping, right, as somebody should. The range of VAs, their rates can go from, I haven't heard 20, but 25, but $25 to $50 an hour, right? With the average about 35 an hour. Again, this is an investment, everybody. It's not an expense, and I think that's the biggest hurdle that most people have initially is, oh no, I can't afford it.
Yeah, I can't afford it. I don't have the money, and then
that's your
$70 a week. I can afford it. You know, when you start thinking of your
175 or 210 a week an hour.
Correct.
And you can do something during that hour, and you're paying.
That's
obviously,
it.
Let's connect
That's
the dots.
that's it.
I mean,
That's why
you
it's
just
an
have to let
investment.
go, Yeah.
Yeah, is that it frees you up, right? Like Jan is saying, it frees you up to do your higher path activities. It's an investment. You're making more money doing your genius, doing what you need to be doing. So yeah, that's part of the initial mindset shift that has to happen. You can't not afford it.
And I will say just one more thing also that has come up for me, and some people are in the event business here, so this might come up also, is that I'm seeing if I take on a large client or I'm doing a huge event that is like 4 to 5 months of my time, not exclusively, but just the event cycle is that long and that involved, I'm actually exploring the idea of hiring a live, not a virtual person, so a real live person, hiring a contract position, 1099. Okay, maybe this person comes and works in my dining room, for, I don't know, 10 hours a week or whatever it is, whatever that looks like. So those are still possibilities also in this line of work, and I think that sometimes there's validity in having someone in front of you. So that's something that I'm exploring that I think will work for my business.
Well, and we talked about that, especially with needing like an event assistant. I mean, the line of work that you're in, you do need, the only physical person I have with me is someone like Kayla. When I'm doing a live event, I will have somebody there. For you, with all the details, as y'all know, that goes into an event, it would be a good idea to have somebody physically there. Awesome. Thank you. Whew. Lee,
Yeah.
tell us.
Well, I
before and after.
first heard the term virtual assistant a couple years ago. Somebody recommended it, and I was like, I don't trust robots. I've seen every science fiction movie ever made, and it never ends well. I'm not gonna let a robot run my business. And then they explained what it was, and then I still. I'll jump around a little bit. One of the things through the program that I've learned, which is shocking to me as long as I've been alive and in business, is I had a perception that my personal growth and personal life and my business are really separate entities, and they're obviously so connected when you get into money mindset and scarcity and abundance. And so, the things that solopreneurs often tell themselves is, I have to do it all or it's not going to work, or no one's going to give the same care to my business as I do. For me personally, I think there was insecurity masking as ego, which is, I'm an amazing businessman and I'm so super successful and all this, everything is great, and why would I need to change? And when I was able to, and then as overwhelm kicks in, the ego dissipates when you're suddenly just tired and stressed. And so for a variety of reasons, combined with life changes and accident, I got to a place where I was able to shift from looking at competitors as intimidating, as to like, what can I learn? How there's people that are doing things differently or better, or not always better or worse, but just differently, and what can I learn from that? And so it was just a series of events that put me in a position to realize, accept what I'm good at, and accept the areas of competence or incompetence that not only am I not good at, but I don't enjoy. And I remember hearing someone speak a couple years ago that said, we have to take, and we spoke about this earlier today, we have to take our own medicine. What often as professionals do we preach to clients? Invest in a professional, spend the money, don't be cheap, have it done right the first time. But then when you're on the other side of the coin, it's like, well, how can I cut corners? So third time was the, so and then I'll back up. So at first I was like setting up the front office of my warehouse space, and I was like, I need someone that's there. And friends like, why? And I'm like, well, so I know they're doing their job, and it'll just make me feel better. Right. And they're like, if they're doing their job, you'll know. I mean, you'll see results, you'll start to see relief, and and then so that was part of it also, was letting go my perspective of how people should work, and it all comes down to really trust and surrendering of control. So yeah, I went through the first VA, it didn't go well, and I realized that it literally created abandonment issues, and that was when I really started to realize. And I went through a depression because I thought it's taken me so long to get to a point where I'm willing to trust someone, which again, there's personal and business mixed in there. That's another session, but. So then it's like here, and then your greatest fear is that they don't attend to it with the love and care that you hope. And so so then I literally just shelved it, and then after working with Marla, I really got the confidence again to approach it again, and then the second person didn't quite work out, but whereas it took me a good 6-8 months to recover, the second time it was a couple weeks, and found someone that I really feel comfortable with. So yeah, it takes things off your plate, and it's about delegating the things that if there's something that that a person is not good at or doesn't like, there's someone who loves that, thrives on that. Right. I'm a creative through and through. Where I have been lacking is systems. And Shannon loves systems, craves it, is always emailing me, hey, I found this new app, or I found this new way to streamline things, and what do you think about this? And that's amazing, and then that's freeing me up to have a little bit more creative thought. And the other thing that is a slippery slope, I think, is what I'm still in the process of exploring, is exactly what kind of company I want to be. How big do I want to be when I go on social media? Then I have all these grand ideas, and then I'm making decisions based on trying to compete with the market or other people in my industry. And so I want to grow, but I don't feel it's for me. When I started the company, it was about really providing an exceptional experience for people that truly are dialed into music, and that's not everyone. With weddings, there's a lot of elements. Some people are foodies, some people are visual, and it's decor. So the nice thing is that now I'm carving out time, and we're really working on streamlining the onboarding process and having a more personal experience, and that's going to allow me to raise my rates, and by raising my rates, that also allows me to create a very personal experience for the client. So to put a bow on that, where I was at a couple years ago was just cranking out gigs on volume and burned out. And I would go talk to planners, and they would talk about how they went to lunch with their client from a year ago. And I was like, I don't really know hardly any of my clients because I'm just, there was no time. And I got to a place, so again, being somewhat of an introvert, where I want to be as a person in my life with connection, and then where I want to be in business, have kind of come to the same road finally, which is having more connection with clients, doing less volume, and feeling better about the work and the experiences. And so, so we're really heavy on system building because I just didn't have much of that, and we're almost there, and it's great. Getting a HubSpot, a CRM, a HubSpot just fully integrated with everything, so I'm not going one place for invoices and one place for proposals and another place for this. So just the streamlining process, which was where I was leaving a lot of money on the table, is, as I'm sure all of you know, now it's if you don't respond, it used to be 48 hours, then it's 24 hours, then it's 8 hours, and a lot of studies show now the first person to respond is about 70% more likely to get that gig or that client, and now it's down to an hour. It's 60 minutes or less in terms of response time. Sometimes I might respond well, set up a call, might get the call, and then it takes me a couple days to get a proposal out because now I got to go do an event. And so all the time in between all of those things, we're desensitized because we're in it. Right. But all of those things they're using to judge your reliability, the connection with you, dependability, all of those kinds of things. And then the perception of if you're a creative or a performer, that's all they have to go on because as a DJ, there's no hard product. So Now they're making judgments about the quality of your performance based on the level of communication. So that's what I'm most excited about right now, is having a process to not drop the ball on all those steps, from inquiry to phone call to proposal to booking to sending a thank you gift. We just started using Sugar Wish, and we sent out a little gift, and it's like, your wedding's going to be super sweet, and here's a little gift. And within 48 hours, almost every client responded and was like, yay. So it's just getting back to where I started, which was quality over quantity. And also, so I'm on the high end because the first 2 were a bust, and I took my medicine, and I realized that I need someone who's exceptionally good at system building. So my assistant is $38 an hour, and we're doing 10 hours a week, sometimes a little more, just because there's so many things that we've got to shift into place.
Yeah, I mean, we essentially re-engineered his business, since whenever this was, September, because, like Lee said, there was no systems in his. I remember Shannon saying to him one day, she says, "I don't know how you've done this for 11 years."
Right.
She says, "It's a lot for me. I can't imagine."
She actually said that again today. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, and here's my point. When I coach, I want to coach your lifestyle, not your business. Meaning, I want you to build a business around your lifestyle, not the other way around.
Yeah.
And not at the expense of your self-care, your family, your values, your dignity, right? It's huge. And how many times am I always checking in? Lee, what's your self-care? What's going on? What are you doing? Because he can really run away with just getting stuff done. He's a high achiever. He's a creative. He's driven, and I have to kind of put the brakes on for him at times, because without somebody going, whoa, stop, right? Is he can get into this mindset because he's been doing this for 11 years. And so that's part of the change that I've seen in you, is you're becoming much more conscious when you're in that space, and being able to stop it. Or when we're in a coaching session, I'll go, can you acknowledge what you've just done? Right? I mean,
Yeah, the inner critic is
is a tough one for him. So yes, is that literally have re-engineered his business where there was no systems at all.
I just wanted to mention the one thing I forgot. Sorry. Yeah, it's so great having a brain dump. So she because sometimes as creatives. For me, I'll just speak for me, I get immobilized. I get so many ideas, then I'm just totally immobilized because I don't even know where to begin, or I can't get them done, and then I feel shitty because then I feel like I'm getting nothing done, and so then I just go back to knowing what I do, which is just booking gigs, and and so yeah, between Marla and also Shannon, it's like she's keeping a running list, so I'm like, yeah, hey, why don't we do this, and then she'll be like, that's great, that goes on the second page of the to-dos once, and I remember reading something once. It said, imperfect action beats perfect dreams, or something to that effect. And so that's what we're working on, is trying to just narrow as a creative, it's like you said, it's needing funneling and focusing.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest challenges, and then we'll start moving into our next segment. One of the biggest challenges that I had, and now I help my clients with, is their focus. Being creative, as you all know, is that you're brilliant. And you're always coming up with ideas. And that's the good news, and that's the bad news. Is that in order to, I literally help you corral, right? I help you corral those ideas and go, no, do this one, put that one on your idea list, and put it away. You're not supposed to be doing all of the above, right? As I said, I remember someone made the comment, and I go, do one thing at a time. Oh, it was William. He wants to add photography, and he wants to add DJ. It's like, okay, fantastic. Do one thing good. Do one thing good, get the cash flow going, get your income going, your revenues, then add on something once that first division, if you will, or that first focus is doing well. You know, one of the bigger challenges, again, is creatives want to go, oh, I want to do this, and I want to do that, I want to have this. And what you do, right, is you're constantly putting yourself in overwhelm. Right, so please, the point is the focus, and I know that's been, you know, a help to Lee, and both Veronica and Brianne. So, yes, that's the message. Is what I say is when you have ideas, have an ongoing list, an idea list, and just put it on the list. Doesn't mean you have to do it. And maybe once a month you go back to it and see what is it that you really want to be doing, or is this something you can just kind of let go of, right? Because you're a creative, everything sounds great, right? Or everything sounds doable. It's not. Right?
Can I share one?
Yes, please.
Because it is important to have your business systems in place, but having what has really helped me tremendously is having more of that self-care and life system in place. It's so huge that since working with you, I meditate first thing in the morning. Oh, wow. I've never done that before. Yes. I used to just pick up my phone and get on social media and compare myself to everybody else and worry about my life and worry about me not doing enough. Whereas now I'm like, Charlene's got it. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to go to the gym after my 2 espressos. And after the gym, I'm going to take my shower. I'm going to not forget to brush my teeth because I know we've all done that in this room. But I'm going to take care of me. Me first. 2018, beginning of 2018, I hashtag me first. It was the me first movement. And because it was time. And really getting your life system in place and really waking up and taking care of you and loving you primarily. Because as Antonio always says, we don't know if we're going to have a tomorrow.
It's a wise woman.
It's crucial, and that's one of the major tenets that I stand on is your self-care. Work-life balance is every person's challenge. And if you don't take care of you first and have a ritual in the morning so that you're setting an intention for your day, you're gonna hit a wall. Yeah. You're gonna hit a wall way too much, right? So awesome! I didn't know that you're doing meditation. I love it. Which, speaking of meditation, by the way, there is a handout about mindfulness. This is also part of my my life and programs. Is that, remember I said everything is a holistic model. And I didn't talk anything about my spirituality and practices, but in that handout I'm encouraging you, if you don't already, is to please, read that number 1 and find some sort of, mindfulness activity, whether it be meditation. Mine is I take a walk in nature every morning with my dog, and nobody touches me until about 10 o'clock. Right? That's my choice. That's what I do to take care of me, because if I was to jump out of bed, start working, which I used to do, I was a basket case. I couldn't operate well. So our spiritual practices and our mindfulness, crucial as the air you breathe. Right? Raise the hands. How many do a spiritual practice? Fantastic. He's getting there. Right? All right. Beautiful. So before we move on, any comments, questions at the moment that you would like to ask? Yes, Nicole.
How soon is too soon to hire a VA? Like if you're brand new in your business, because I hear you guys saying that you had, most of you were pretty established and had years and years under your belt, and had some things to clean up, but also had some areas where you could excel by hiring someone. Is it too soon if you're really new?
How fast do you want to grow?
Yeah. I would also say if you're doing things that you don't want to be doing, need to be doing, kind of back to that activity, if those show up for you, that would be, an opportunity.
Okay.
You can, let me give you an example of what I did the very first time, the first year in business when I hired my first VA, is I asked her to work with me on a gradual basis. I said, in order to kind of, get me into the mode, would you be willing to do, I don't know, at the time it was, I think the minimum was 10 hours a month with VAs. I said, would you be willing to do 5 hours knowing that we're going to grow together, right? And we'll move into 10 hours when I grow up and be more mature about this. And so it doesn't hurt to ask, that's one of my principles is ask, right? Make sure you just keep asking for what you want. Maybe that's something to do.
And
start small.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say, and then the focus point is revenue producing activities, so they're immediately paying for themselves.
Right.
I mean, maybe it's the shift where the administrative is something you handle, but then they're more sales marketing focused to immediately start generating revenue.
Yeah. Another thing also that Marla talks about in the handout you guys will be getting is setting like a 60 or 90 day probationary sort of period, just to make sure it works for both sides. For whatever reason, could be personality, could be maybe I don't need a VA, or oh gosh, I really need a VA. So that's also something that it's not nothing's permanent. You're just like saying, hey, let's try this out and see how it works.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's really super important.
Yeah.
So that the mindset with this VA is they're not completely hired yet until after 60 or 90 days. Right? It's like any other relationship, and especially this one that's so incredibly important to your life, to your business, is make sure that they're hired on a 60 to 90 day trial. Yeah.
And that's all in that booklet.
It's all in that booklet.
My old housemate was doing this. I didn't know what she was up to, but anyway.
Virtual assistant?
Yeah. She moved to Chicago to do it because it was less expensive there. So anyway, but what I was curious about is I know she was working for different companies.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering about the time management of the VAs. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you couldn't get what you needed, or do you just give them an assignment at the beginning of the week and then let them do it in their own time frame?
I feel like this planned system activities are best for a VA, and then sometimes you sort of have ad hoc things that come up. But it's back to spending the time before you hire a VA of like what could they be doing daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever that looks like. And maybe it's like 5 stickies on your wall. You just kind of like, oh, they should this, and then that way it's not a lot of management on your end. You just know that on Monday they're going to do that. Every Monday.
Do you use Trello? Okay, so my virtual assistant uses Trello. It's an online system, which is basically like a bunch of sticky notes.
It's a project management site.
Right.
Yeah, it's a project management site.
So anytime I come up with an idea, I'm like, I just put it on there, and if it's not urgent, she'll get to it when she gets to it. If it is urgent, I do let her know. I haven't had anything hugely pressing, but she's just on it, and she takes meticulous notes on how many minutes, seconds she spends on the replicas music. She has some sort of program that the minute she starts working for me, she just presses a button and so she's got this running tally.
Time tracker tools, and there's one built into Upwork as well. So you can do a recap. You can go in at any time and you can see how they've delegated their time. We do a weekly call, and then kind of hit everything that's the agenda, and then she'll check in halfway through the week and let me know where she's at in terms of hours. So based on if we had a heavy week, like where there's a bunch of inquiries coming in, then I can choose and go, you know what, I'm going to have you handle getting out proposals, invoices, and the new inquiries. If it's a slower week with inquiries, then we can delegate more of the time to the to-do list.
Yeah, you're just in constant contact with them. I mean, what I do on a daily basis with my brand manager and my VA is we're typically communicating over Facebook Message. And then we have Trello. You must have, and this is in the workbook, you must have a project management site that you're working with your VA with. There's Basecamp, which is one of my favorites. Trello is, the version we have is free. That's my VA chose that. It's fun. It's creative. It totally works fine. Yeah. There's several others, and you'll see that in the workbook. There's several choices of project management sites. That's your best way to stay on top of things. Besides, if you choose to do Facebook Message or texting or whatever. So this person is in your business every day, and if you're not hearing from them for a couple days, you better get on it. So this is also part of what? Leadership. right? Being a leader in your business, everybody, requires you to do that, right? It's the bottom line is it's your business. So don't be afraid to reach out, you know, set up a system of communication like what these three do, and so forth. So is that helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. Anything else? Was that helpful, everybody?
Yes.
Yeah. The realities, right, of running behind the scenes. Thank you, all three of you. It's been a blessing to have you here and to continually support you.
Thank you.
Yeah, in your business and in your lives.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, it's been terrific. Okay. Thank you.